Have you ever let your imagination create a different faraway alternative of a planet that is only full of your own conflicting emotions, opinions, experiences, giving life to a new civilization and being the observers that watch new life forms gain self-consciousness and being a witness to the tragedy of self-awareness? No? Me neither, but the guys from Platinum Games did, and they created this chain reaction of emotionary downfall in the pit of endless suffering with a glint of hope that might get distinguished. Yes, today we are talking about Nier Automata. The story is quite simple in its structure. Evil creatures from the space, aka aliens, invaded Earth and humans lost retreating to the moon. They counterattacked by building sexy deadly androids, with the scope of wiping out the aliens from Earth and being its masters again. But let me tell you, it's not that simple. This basic structure is struck with a wild ferocity of meaning, understanding, awareness, witnessing the birth of life, and in this case a very different form of life than the biological one. Hate, anger, discovery, sadness, tragedy, love, lust, despair, death, separation, insanity, and so on and forth. While the road from A to B is quite straightforward from a mission standpoint, the journey and growth of the characters, and even us as players, turn from demolishing any resistance in our paths to why are we doing this? Isn't there a better path for us to take? And the moment when we take the medication of realization to cure the ignorance present in our minds and see the full story and events that transpired in this world, realizing that all we did was meaningless with no way to achieve the desired outcome, is a moment of truly beautiful pain, of sudden realization that transcends into despair with a sudden shock of peace, of understanding that inevitable is, well, inevitable, leaving us in the end with a relief of feeling empty. Yeah, the game doesn't hold back from hitting us in the feeling gut over and over and over again. This is not a happy game. Nier Automata is an amalgamation of philosophical ideologies compiled in a singular story. The game reeks of concepts and ideas from authors like Sartre, Engels, Marx, Nietzsche, etc. Even the name of one of the main characters, to be, is such a play on words. After all, it means to exist. It really is a throwback to the famous quote from Hamlet, to be or not to be, which in itself is a rather complicated reference to existence, even though it has such a simple phrasing. It is extremely rare when any kind of media makes me put down or take a break from what I am doing and challenge me to question the confines of my own prison of understanding. I was quite shocked at this realization that more than once I would put my controller down just to explore the ideas and philosophy proposed by this game. To quote Dalai Lama, tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength, no matter what sort of difficulties, how painful experience is. If we lose our hope, that's our real disaster. And this is exactly what this game proposes, a loss of hope, but not truly. So yeah, the story is a simple idea that degenerates into a complex web of hard to understand concepts, utilizing a vast range of feelings, emotions, experiences to form a story that is lived and not simply witnessed. It's very easy to simply categorize it as something that should not be missed, but this game is one that is much more special than that. If I were to describe this game, it would be the tragedy of self-awareness. The gameplay is smooth. It is a fast-paced action game with combos, different weapons, shooting, dodging, active skills, passives, and so on and forth. You have melee weapons, which consists of swords, more swords, and some swords. I'm just kidding. The game offers a variety of melee weapons like swords, large swords, spears, and combat bracers, basically fist weapons. It features a switch-on-the-fly weapon system, which allows for different combos and different styles of gameplay. Alongside the melee combat, you have a small flying robot, which might or might not play a pivotal role in the lives of our protagonists. These are pods, tactical support units. They provide intelligence, fire support, and special abilities. The combat actually happens in more planes than the 3D one, like 2D. There are a lot of portions of gameplay where the game transitions from 2D to 3D, or vice versa, and let me tell you, it is seamless. It is done so well that it feels natural and very welcome. It helps with making the game more dynamic and breaks from the monotony of repeating gameplay. Without any exaggeration, I never got bored with the gameplay. It kept me glued to the monitor throughout my whole gaming sessions. On top of the hack and slash type of gameplay, Nier features another type, bullet hell. A very well done bullet hell type of gameplay, I might add. The portions where I experience it are full of adrenaline and tension, and quite a challenge. And on top of that, later in the game you unlock another type of gameplay, hacking, which is basically a bullet hell type of minigame, but different. Nier offers 4 types of difficulty. Easy, which is easy. Normal, this one is a little strange cause in the beginning, normal is kinda not normal, more towards hard. Hard, which is kinda hard. It adds quite a nice coat of challenge and fun to the game. And very hard, which is the one-shot mode. I tried all difficulties, and let me tell you that if you want to start on very hard, the prologue doesn't lie to you that it lacks an autosave feature, and you cannot save on that portion of the game. So if you die, you must restart the whole prologue again and again and again. Personally, I found hard to be quite the perfect way to play the game. Very hard just made me realize the bad aspects of the game and brought forward some of the limitations the gameplay brings. There are some fights that lack visual acuity, like this one, where I simply couldn't see very clearly what is happening, or very bad off-screen attacks and camera work like this boss. During the fight with this particular boss, things got very confusing very fast. While a cool fight in itself, after beating it, I was left with the feeling of that was bullshit, more than a satisfying feeling of overcoming a challenge. Even though the gameplay certainly suffers from some poor camera and some questionable designs, 90% of the time is a treat and it's very fun and engaging. The game offers in its journey the perspective of 3 characters. Because I don't want to risk to spoil the pleasure of a first playthrough for others, I will only talk in more details about the first character you play. 2B is full of awesome. She gets a lot of character development without actually getting to see that character development. Let me explain. She has a very serious attitude, all about duty, an unflinching wall of determination towards her goals. She comes across as calm with a lot of authority in her voice. At first her design made me think she's just a cheap jab at fan service, but as time passed I understood that even that played a role in a theme present in the game. Basically, later on you are confronted with this line or written dialogue. Yeah, her looks are meant to instigate desire and lust. Like I said earlier, she has quite a development in terms of character, but it's not obvious, quite on contraire, not at all. This being a Japanese game, all of the interactions and character growth happens extremely subtle, and in some ways it is more implied than shown. And it's not the classical way of development, more like a discovery of her hidden character in time. What gives way into her gentle and caring nature is her own betrayal of her own hard exterior. If you pay attention to side quests or main quests along her journey, this betrayal of emotions outside of what she allows to be seen becomes apparent. She even shows jealousy in a certain side quest. Another facet of her that depicts her character quite well is her animation. She has a very powerful aura of determination, conviction, and confidence in her steps. In other words, she wears her attitude and character on the outside as well. The other main protagonists have a really complicated journey of finding meaning as well. They pass through many challenges and burdens that weave a complex emotional web that might be too much to bear. Their stories are for sure a worthwhile journey to experience. Alongside the main characters, there is a plethora of supporting characters, all with their own unique quirks that propose different themes of existence. They are mostly present in side quests, and they touch upon quite heavy themes like wanting a family, being a shut-in that cannot handle emotional maturity and social pressure, the wish to die, suicide, meaning, emptiness, religious fanatism, going mad with fervor, loneliness, becoming the target of persecution out of ignorance and a lack of understanding, and so much more. The sound effects in the game are, well, to be frank, they are good. There is nothing that screeched on a blackboard and made me go like, please stop torturing my ears. But more than sound effects, I want to talk about the music in this game. The music in this game is a delicious affair of enchanting waves of audio pleasure. It is very good. So good in fact that it won the SXSW Gaming Award. The voice acting is quite on point, the main cast is really good, the few moments that weren't stellar were never something to stand out in a negative way. Overall, the sound is solid in this game, a direct consequence of very meticulous planning and directing, especially the music. The world has a certain quiet beauty to it. It feels desolate, abandoned, but at the same time it has a certain feel of rebirth, creeping in to support the atmosphere of tragedy that dissipates slowly in the course of the journey and rebuilds into personal desperation by the end of the journey. To be quite frank, the world lacks severely in the feeling of being alive. It permeates a feeling of hopelessness, and in its many corners there are only a few pockets of civilization. Sometimes the world feels empty and sometimes it doesn't. It made me feel a little bit lonely in its environment, but at the same time it gave me a certain desire to return to it. Nier Automata was a journey that extorted from me a wide range of emotions. It made me actually stop and think about the themes present in the game, and it's plagued my mind by giving birth to a concept that turned later into a question. What am I afraid of? Being alive or dead? If being dead means non-existing, being alive and having no meaning is the same as not living? Personally, I think that purpose is not something given, but something that we all gain. Anywho, I want to thank you all for watching, and I wish you all the best wherever you are. See ya!